Today we're going to be taking a look at some of the awesome planets and moons you can visit in Starfield. Make sure to stay tuned for the whole video because there's some really amazing places that you might not have been to yet. If you're looking for locations around the galaxy with gorgeous views where you can set up an outpost, or you just want to explore and photograph stunning landscapes, I've got some great spots for you. I'll be showcasing different planets, moons, and biomes that I found to be really interesting, not to help you locate the best spots in the game to set up resource farms. Some of these locations do have plenty of resources for that, but that's not why I decided to make this video. Let's start with the first location, and that's Nemeria 2, found in the Nemeria system. With a temperate climate and slightly lower gravity than Earth, here you'll find the planet is mostly covered in these beautiful frozen mountains separated by oceans. If you don't mind going for a hike, you can find some really high elevation spots to start constructing an outpost overlooking the frozen plains below. If you're looking to channel those Skyrim vibes by being surrounded by towering snow-covered mountains, then you're going to love this place. On Nemeria 2, you can also find a biome with volcanoes and mountains sprawled along the horizon, making for a great backdrop and a very alien feel. And by the way, if you found any planets or moons that you've really enjoyed exploring that I don't cover here, please leave a comment sharing it with everyone. If there's enough of them and you guys really like this video, I can always make a second one. Next up is Huygens VII-B, a moon of Huygens 7 in the Huygens system, as far right in the star map as you can go. It has a temperate climate and about half the gravity of Earth, with the terrain being made up of quite a bit of sandy desert. While only having a few resources, the skybox here more than makes up for it. Both daytime and nighttime feature breathtaking views, and you might experience some megalophobia the first time you stare up at the rings in the sky. With the moon having a lot of water, this also allows for many coastal base opportunities. You can land at various coastlines by selecting the specific areas on the planet with the word coast in parentheses. To be clear though, even if you were to pick the exact same location as I did in this video, you're not guaranteed to spawn at the exact same place or have the exact same view. I encourage you to spend some time traveling to different points around each of these planets to find a place that you're satisfied with, even if it means running on foot for a little bit. You may be surprised at the views you can stumble upon, especially at different times of day. Being on the beach with a giant planet half sunk into the horizon has to be my favorite thing ever. Now I'm just really hoping somebody makes a Death Star mod so that I can recreate that shot from Rogue One. Next up is going to be Ursa Major 2 in the Ursae Majoris system. Here you'll find again another temperate climate with low gravity, this time hosting forests, frozen plains, swamps, mountains, and even savannas. I really love this planet because it's one of the few that I found in the game so far that has a bunch of lakes scattered in between these hills. Having small bodies of water really adds to the environment, and I wish more planets were able to generate random lakes and even rivers with different colored water. If I could just get a planet with huge waterfalls everywhere, I would build an outpost there in a heartbeat. Among its various biomes, Ursa Major 2 also features a tropical biome with red palm trees and some other neat looking flora and fauna. These may not be specific to this planet, as I know different locations can share the same procedurally generated items. I still think Ursa Major 2 is worth visiting though. It's very beautiful and you can find a lot of gorgeous spots on it. The next location is probably the most unique planet in the game, and that's Muphrid 1 in the Muphrid system. You can tell what I mean as soon as it shows up on the star map because it's completely purple. Labeled as an inferno with slightly lower gravity than Earth, the entire planet is covered in purple sand. To my knowledge, this is the only planet in the game that's like this, which is a huge shame because of how awesome this color palette is. The purple sand and the cyan sky work really well together, and even when it's not bright out, it still looks cool. While the planet is still a host to points of interest, it's a giant desert, so don't expect to find tons of wildlife or interesting geological structures. It's mostly just sand and rocks, which is perfect for those who want to be alone surrounded by the dunes. At least you don't have to do the sand walk here. What some have referred to as the planet from Halo Reach, here we have Eridani 2 from the Eridani system. It certainly shares some qualities with Reach's Eridanus 2, like the moderate amount of flora and fauna, a similar gravity and atmosphere, and a temperate climate, and of course just the look of it. Although, unfortunately, there is no Elysium City here, just some cool randomly spawning points of interest like this base I came across. You'll find a plethora of trees and wildlife, and these amazing hills and mountains in the distance. A short 5-minute walk from where I landed was a huge lake with a small island in the middle of it. A place that, weirdly enough, closely resembles a place I actually used to live near, just with a lot less trees. With rocky desert biomes and rainstorms, Eridani 2 is a beautiful location that I highly recommend exploring when you can. Now we're heading over to the Cheyenne system to visit a moon called Montara Luna. I believe this is a place that you eventually visit either in the story or on a side quest, but not everyone cares about completing those things, and some of us just want to explore cool places. And like me, this is just one of those that you may never have thought to visit. Featuring chemical water, a very low gravity, and a temperate climate, the surface is composed of a ton of different biomes, probably the most for any moon that I've seen yet. The same goes for the amount of different creatures and plant life. You've got these awesome rocky clay-colored hills with purple and red flora and what kind of looks like dead trees. But you've also got these magnificent regions bordered by mountains and a beach leading into a chemical lake. The more time I spend here, the more I kept finding new areas like this one with the yellow trees. I absolutely love the time of day in this clip, and having that moon half covered in darkness in the sky is just perfect. It's honestly just so pretty. I can't praise Bethesda enough for the great job they've done on the environments. One of the locations on Montara Luna that I found myself really enjoying was the Frozen Plains biome. At first it looked super spooky with what almost looked like a blood moon in the sky, and then after some time passed, a blizzard hit, and just sitting there listening to the snowstorm was so peaceful. The moon is also home to several pre-marked points of interest, such as the Wagoner Farm, a cozy little area with robot farmers, a chasm, and a mountain that looks like the kind of place an evil witch would live. I can't say enough good things about this location. It has so much to offer, so I would go check it out as soon as you can. Next is a planet called Syrma 4 in the Syrma system. It's a cold climate with half the gravity of Earth and a thin atmosphere. It features mostly swamps with yellow trees and sand, and my favorite part, an abundance of small lakes, some of which even have underwater creatures swimming in them. It took me a little while to actually get this spawn, but once I did, I immediately set up an outpost here. Because of all the water, you might be tempted to try and find a spawn near the coast, but I found it actually works better to avoid the coastline and just look for an area near lakes or smaller bodies of water. You'll eventually find one of these really pretty areas like I'm showing in the video. And last, but certainly not least, we're stopping by Zosma 5A, which is the moon of the giant ringed planet Zosma 5 in the Zosma system. Here you've got some pretty good resources with a temperate climate and lower gravity, featuring savannas and some utterly spectacular mountain ranges. It's a pretty mountain-heavy video so far, but there's a good reason. They add a lot to the landscape, especially when they're dwarfed by the sheer size of the planet in the background. While you can make yourself at home in between these mountains if you'd like, you can also find a more tropical area with orange beaches and some pretty normal looking trees. And if you explore hard enough and get lucky with your spawns, you can end up seeing sights like this, which has to be my favorite thing that I've ever filmed in Starfield so far. I hope throughout this video I was able to introduce you to some great locations. Making this video was a lot of fun, mostly because I just got to go around sightseeing and practice my camera skills with a controller. It kind of felt like making my own little VIDoc, you know? If you enjoyed the video, please leave a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Here on the channel I do all sorts of guides and gameplay videos for various games, and there's a bunch of stuff coming out later this year that I plan to cover on top of keeping up with Starfield, so you should definitely stay tuned for that. That's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.